Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the wrestling podcast Getting Over. We've got everything from the last pay-per-view premium live event. Never too sure which one we should be saying. I know which I prefer, but you know. We've got all of the stuff from last time, from SummerSlam, and we are previewing the Bash in Berlin. Everything news related and everything in between is all here in one fantastic podcast. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave reviews where you can leave reviews. Biggest one, share the podcast around. If you know somebody that's into wrestling, send this podcast their way. They will love it. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast Getting Over.
Hello, it is time. It's time for Getting Over on the CookieCast Network, your home of all things WWE and just generally a little bit of the wrestles. I was going to say the whole crew are back, but if you're watching on YouTube, you'll know that that would be a bare-faced lie. Unfortunately, Mr. Matthew Moore, not able to join us this evening. He is otherwise engaged, seeing a little band by the name of Fontaines DC, no less. So I hope you are enjoying yourself whilst we are here filling the Matthew-shaped hole that you have left behind. But yeah, so without further ado, I will introduce you to those of you that could be bothered to turn up this evening. So thank you very much, gentlemen. So Mr. Andrew Cook, the creator, the founder, the overseer of all things CookieCast is amongst our ranks this evening. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
And Mr. Paul Williams, who has probably been on just as many CookieCast episodes, if not slightly more. How are you, Paul?
Yes, very good, thank you.
Good. Last time we were here to predict SummerSlam. Everybody seen it? I'm assuming at least Paul has seen it.
Yes, indeed.
Yep, good stuff. Have you seen much of it, Andy? Highlights, maybe?
I've seen a series of highlights.
Good stuff. How did we find it?
I thought it was pretty good. I think I watched it, sort of whilst you were unable to watch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think I'd seen it way before any of you guys would have done. So I was trying to not accidentally give anything away. But I felt it was very, very good. But it was paced nicely. Most of the matches were put in the right order. Felt like it had a nice flow to it, shall we say? And on the whole, I'd say probably the right results in the matches. Maybe not from a predictions perspective, but certainly from a storyline telling perspective. The right outcome was come to on most, if not all, of the matches.
The only one particularly I might have changed would have been the Nia Jax victory, but obviously that's to kickstart the whole Tiffany thing and all the rest of it. So I get that. I agree that I do think it was definitely one of the better shows of the year. When I finally was able to watch it, I don't think I finished it until about the Wednesday afterwards in the end. But it was very enjoyable. Particularly enjoyed the return of one Mr. Roman Reigns. Never thought I'd say that after his sort of activities over the last 4 years or so, but that was done well. So yeah, very much enjoyed it. But as Paul alluded to, did it go well in terms of the predictions, the results of said matches? Well, last time around, Paul took the predictions title thanks to his geography-based tiebreak skills and headed into SummerSlam holding on to that gold. Now, after the results that Paul mentioned, would he be able to cling on to it? Well, we had a massive 7 points to play for, since we're used to 5 these days. But in reverse order. In last place, he must have known it was coming, and he's done a runner. Matt, in last place with 3 out of 7. Now, I am not gloating about that because I was in third with only 1 point more, so not exactly a stellar performance by myself either. So next, we have defending champion Paul on 6 points. But Andy also joined him there on 6 points. So it's another tie-break situation. And thankfully, I'm not involved in the result this time, so I could pre-prepare the question. So yeah. Right. Now, I quite liked the travel question last time around. So this time, what I want to know is, how long would it take to walk, run, or swim from Cleveland to Berlin? I'm kidding. That's not my real question. You don't have to work that out. The real question, right? Gunther started in WWE as Walter in NXT UK. He became the longest reigning UK champion of all time. But for how many days did he officially hold the title? So, Paul, as defending champion, you can go first or you can defer.
I'll go first on this one because I feel that I don't know if Andy will even sort of have a rough idea of how long he was champion for. So if I go in with my sort of guess, you can base it around that.
I'll give you one clue. It's around fucking ages. So
so I know that he beat Dunn, and I'm pretty sure Dunn held it for over 500 days. So I think it's somewhere in like the 700-day range. So I'll go for 792.
Okay. So that gives Andy a decision to make.
Yeah, basically.
One higher or one lower is where it needs to go.
When Paul was like, I'll go first, I was like, how much of a do I want to be on this one? But I did have a number already. So, in the spirit of fairness, I will stick with my number and then let the chips fall while it may. I'm going to go 852.
Okay, well, we do have a winner straight off the bat. And that winner is Mr. Andrew Cook. Well done, sir. The official answer, obviously as official as Wikipedia can be. You haven't just edited this, Andy, have you? Just whilst we were... No, okay, that's right. The answer is 870. The reason why it felt like a good question, because it feels like it has a bit of a trick in the middle as well, on the basis that he was champion whilst COVID was a thing. So he held it all that time, but didn't actually have to defend it for a good chunk whilst...
Well, no, I suppose that is technically true, because obviously they were doing the... did they do some sort of stuff at BT Sports Studios?
That's right.
They started doing a couple of performances, a couple of weekly shows from there.
They did. Yeah, they did it in that TV studio where the football pundits like to fall over quite a lot. But they did. I think, if I remember rightly, they started back a little bit after they'd almost got the model, hadn't they, from the Raw and SmackDown and stuff being in the PC, and thought, hang about, we'll do that here just on a much smaller scale. But yeah, there was a much longer layoff in the middle though. But yeah, Andy is the champion. Well done, sir. That's it. That's another one in the books. So I'm going to go on to the news for this time around, and unfortunately, it's having to start with some sad news this time, as we have all been made aware of the passing of Sid Eudy in the last few days, better known to the masses as the master and ruler of the world, Psycho Sid. Sid, also known as Sid Justice and Sid Vicious, rose to fame in the 90s and went on to become a 6-time world champion across 3 different promotions. He's 2-time champion in both WWE, WCW, and the USWA. WWE paid tribute to Sid, proclaiming his reputation as one of the toughest and most thrilling superstars cemented his legacy in WWE, and his influence can still be seen in wrestling rings around the world. Sid started in WCW in 1989 as the muscle for the Four Horsemen. What an introduction to worldwide TV. Insane that. He jumped over to WWE in 1991 before headlining WrestleMania twice, both number 8 and number 13, against Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker, respectively. Sid was 63 when he passed away and survived by his wife Sabrina and his 2 children. Paul said this best, I think, on the group chat. There's like another piece of the childhood just stabbed. It was all like, it's just a bad, like, this guy was one of the first like proper larger than life characters that wasn't like a bin man or a dentist, or like, he was just an absolute, like, you'd be genuinely frightened if you met him in the street, I think.
Oh God,
he's just a unit. One thing I will say is this. Obviously, you know, when somebody passes, they get a lot of play on the internet, I suppose, tributes and things like that. I could have really done without seeing the point in time when he jumped in the ring and his leg was like, I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna get out of here, I'll leave you here to deal with this, because that was not pretty.
No, it was one of the worst breaks I think that there's been.
Yeah, he was. He's one of those guys who I think was almost a bit infamous for me, because obviously he was quite partial to a bit of softball, and the sort of the joke doing the rounds, or the rumor doing the rounds, obviously at the best of times, was you could tell when Sid would be employed and when he would be turning up on your TV screens when softball season had finished for the year and stuff like that. And if he ever went missing, you knew that softball season had started. And he was almost synonymous with just ballsing up promos and then saying, "Oh, well, we'll just run that again," and then JR to go, "Oh, we're live, pal." So he just clicked straight back into character again and just carried on with the promo, which I always thought was quite funny.
Well, you say about the softball thing, there was quite a few times I know of that he'd been booked for conventions and then not turned up because he'd been discovered at softball. One thing I will say is that he did attend the first For the Love of Wrestling in Liverpool. He actually showed up, and he took as much time walking around the convention himself, and not just to see his old mates or anything like that, but people were there exhibiting, sort of displaying like figure collections or belt collections or like chairs. Even the people doing like selling like the arts and craft type stuff and like the bakery stuff and all the kind of stands that come to sell their separate stuff as well. He was just there to enjoy himself. He just had a lovely old time. I think there is a photograph doing the rounds as well as a UK tribute act to The Undertaker called Taker UK, who had a setup there, and he does other conventions around the country, and he takes the full Undertaker's funeral parlor set up with him, with like coffins and like a few title belts and stuff himself. Obviously the urn, but there is a photograph of Taker UK in full attire with Sid stood in the coffin. And he's that tall, because he was a huge guy, that he's had to like bend his head forward and it's even knocked his hat off slightly. He's just a huge guy, but dead friendly on the day. And yeah, it's just a sad one, really. He seemed, for as much of an absolute psycho, excuse the pun, as he was portrayed on our TV screens, seemed just like a genuinely nice guy, and spent his latter years with his family. And apparently when he passed, it was with his family around him, spent an awful lot of time with his grandkids. There ain't many of his generation that are getting to effectively go out on their own terms. And I think that's probably, whilst he wasn't particularly old in the grand scheme of things at 63, I think the fact that he was able to spend so much time with his family and go out on his own terms is kind of a big testament to the kind of guy he was. So sad news, and obviously thoughts and everything with the family and friends, and sad to hear that one. Okay, we'll move back on to the stuff that maybe isn't quite as real now, and we've had some changes. We alluded to the SummerSlam matches and the results. The biggest changes obviously occurring within the realms of the Judgment Day. We had Liv Morgan defending the women's title against Rhea Ripley. I'd say, did we see that coming? But I think everybody saw that coming, that Dom effectively screwed over Rhea Ripley, laid his allegiances with Liv. But then later in the night, the one that we maybe didn't quite see coming quite as quickly after was the fact that Balor cost Damian Priest the World Heavyweight title, so Gunther now holds that gold. It's probably coming down the line at some point, but not in almost successive matches. But that now means that Rhea and Damian Priest are out on their own. They're now known as the Terror Twins, which is not my favourite name, if I'm entirely honest. But the Terror Twins sounds like you've got horrendously drunk and done stuff with somebody you maybe shouldn't have done stuff with and found out that they're horrendous. I just think it's a horrible name. I'm really not keen on it. But the Judgment Day does live on. But now it's Carlito, officially, the man that's becoming known as Jumbo Dome McDonough, JD McDonough, Finn Balor, obviously Dominic Mysterio, and who have I missed out? I've missed somebody. Liv, that's who I've missed out, of course. The female contingent of the group now. So yeah, a bit of a switch around. So 2 out, 2 in. Oh, I guess 3 in if they're now fully fledging Carlito. But did you see the rumours and stuff that they'd wanted to change the name at the time?
The Judgment Day?
Yes. So it was rumoured that they were going to play off the back of that whole Gunther Damian Priest thing and go with renaming them to the Street Trash. I mean, Terror Twins is bad, but at least it ain't that bad.
Surely, surely, if you're a girl in a group, you don't want that group to refer to as Street Trash.
From the reports I've seen online, and obviously only those that are in power will know, but I think Finn Balor did a lot of heavy lifting in making sure that didn't happen. But yeah, if that is true, good on you, Finn. Thank you very much. So yeah, there's that. Just before we came on air, we had a little text message from Mr. Paul Williams himself with a little bit of breaking news about some entertainment that may be coming our way on September the 25th. Nobody thought we'd probably get this, particularly as court cases may be unsettled at time of recording. But we are getting the Vince McMahon docuseries set to release on Netflix again on September the 25th. Now, from the information that Paul sent over, the synopsis reads: Mr. McMahon chronicles the rise and fall of Vince McMahon, controversial businessman and co-founder of WWE, from his transformation of the WWE from a small regional business into a global entertainment powerhouse, to the explosive sexual misconduct allegations that led to his eventual resignation. They're talking first time or second time with that, who knows?
Third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Apparently it's going to be a 6-episode series offering a deep dive, poor choice of words given the circumstances, into McMahon's life and his enduring franchise. And it's been trimmed down from over 200 hours of interviews with Vince himself prior to his resignation. Okay. Didn't have this one coming out so quickly. It feels a lot like it's going to be Dark Side of the Ring, but with the man effectively hanging himself, from what I gather from that. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I think it's one of those things where it was always likely that there was going to be a biopic of sorts put out about Vince McMahon, but he would probably want to be involved in it to make sure that he was painted in the right light, so to speak. But since everything's come out about the Janelle Grant lawsuit and stuff like that, I think he was fighting a losing battle to ever have that be the case.
I think whilst ever legal proceedings are active, to do something like this now seems a bit, because like the court of public opinion is ultimately final. So
unless they're deciding to release it now so that they can use snippets of it in court. It's bizarre. It bodes well for the production team in the sense of the guy who made Tiger King is involved. One of the producers from 30 for 30 from ESPN, which are always a decent outing. The promise is that it's going to present an unflinching, no holds barred look at one of the most enigmatic figures in sports entertainment. Still calling it sports entertainment when Vince is involved, then I see.
Strange that.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, it's a good job that Vince maybe isn't involved. If things had gone another way, who knows? It could have been Bron Breakker playing the role of a young Vince McMahon in the. He'd have picked some meathead from the ranks, wouldn't he, to do that if that was in. The last piece of news that I do have does also relate to another biopic, and it turns out that the Hulk Hogan film of his life, set to have Chris Hemsworth portraying the man himself, no less, has been scrapped. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. Probably suggest you don't Google it either. But yeah, that's not happening. So any Hogan fans, if you know the guy himself, maybe ask him to just not go out in public for a little while or open his mouth until at least December. So yeah, there we go. That's just my opinion anyway. Right. That is it. That is a very limited news section. Nothing much really seems to have happened. Obviously, the biggest thing being the sad news of Sid Udy. But to that end, we will take a small break at the end of the news section, and we will be coming right back. Now, gents, have you brushed up on your German? I did German at school.
Yeah.
There we go. You see, Paul's on it. Nailed it. We're coming back at you with the Bash in Berlin predictions in just a moment's time. Don't go anywhere. See, we're back. That quick. It was so fast you didn't even notice Paul move rooms if you're watching on YouTube. He could have just moved one room. He could have just run the whole street and jumped into somebody else's living room. We will never know.
Is there a possibility that in the break, I decided to hang some pictures?
I mean, I'm not one to judge your DIY skills, Paul. You'll have to tell us if you could do that quickly. But I'll.
It's a rental property. There are no nails in the walls.
Anybody can do it with the sticky tab things. It's right. Sorted. Right, lovely stuff. So we are going at it with the Bash in Berlin predictions. Now, this is a new premium live event title because it sees this weekend sees the first ever premium live event held in Germany. It's coming to us from, I believe, the Mercedes-Benz Arena, or is it the Uber Arena now?
Yeah, quite possibly the Uber Arena.
I think there was a weird thing where when they announced it, it was still a Mercedes-Benz, and now it's got nearer to it. It's changed to Uber, and they keep showing bits of both from the outside on the promo. So that's nice and confusing when you're trying to write about it. Anyway, as always, the match card information is taken from WWE.com and is correct at the time of recording, but it's always subject to change, as we say. And we are back this time to a standard, good old Triple H 5-match card. Yes, the Uber Arena. There we go for the YouTubers. Paul's got the official font of all of the made-up knowledge on screen for you right then. So yeah, 5-match card this time around. So we're back to just having 5 points to play for, gents. Now, conspicuous by his absence, running away when he finished last in the predictions, Mr. Moore has had the, I was going to say cheek, but I think we all know that I mean good nature to still submit some predictions. So I do have those in the book already for the matches we're about to.
I didn't know if the word temerity was like sort of gallivanting towards the front of your mind. I was like, "Ooh, he's going to absolutely nail me."
No. I don't know right good English and that, so that never occurred to me.
Well, why would you be using English when we're about to discuss the German pay-per-view? Sorry, PLE.
Well, I definitely wouldn't know what temerity was in German, so there we go. So first match on the list. It's rematch time, ladies and gentlemen. It is the WWE Women's Tag Team title match. So the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and the Dawn, now champions, defending against former tag team champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. So another premium live event outside of the continent of North America. Another women's tag team title match. It's almost like this is becoming it's more of an intercontinental title than the intercontinental title currently. So, this time Bianca and Jade have been looking to regain the gold against the ladies who took it from them in Glasgow. Not really much in the way of a backstory since that point, just a straight up rematch. But I guess the main question is, are the powers that be in WWE going to use this as an opportunity to start the inevitable program between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair? So, with that being said, former champions getting it back? Or are the creepy crawly people of the Unholy Union, who are definitely not witches, going to use some sort of shenanigans to hold on to the titles? Let's have a look. Shall we start with Matt, seeing as Matt's already given me his details? Matt has opted with great aplomb, shall we say, for Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Is it his options? Andy is looking at me. He is nodding. He likes the cut of Matt's jib, as it were.
I am picking
You're
down.
looking at Matt's jib, you dirty oik.
I am picking up what Matt is putting down. I'm also in the same camp. So it's good, in a different country, seeing a title change, nice, easy sort of, not easy in that sense, but I think it makes sense, especially as soon as there was that change in another country. It's like a symmetry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but right. Well, I've got you both down for those two. Paul.
Yep, same for me, please. This is almost like it's the first. This is like, I think you covered it there. This is the we're doing a first time ever show in a new country. Shall we give them a title change? Send the women's tag team over. Plus,
and he did it like that as well, just from the office.
Plus, I think it's a little bit too early to try and get the Bianca versus Jade thread moving in that direction. I feel like they need to they need to get it back, lose it due to one of them being shit, for argument's sake, and then they can, pull that thread around the Royal Rumble.
Okay, well, I don't disagree with the Rumble thing, but I have disagreed with all of you. I've gone for the Unholy Union to retain. I think that whilst it is too early to go two-footed into that story, it's not too early on the basis of they're enjoying the long-term story arcs at the moment. So why not throw a bit of doubt in there now? It could be accidental. They're both good guy characters, as it were. To have a little bit of forgiveness in there to start with, which then wears a bit thin the next time it happens. So I think they're going to start with that. So I'm going for the Unholy Union. So just me on my own on Points Island. I will say as well, gents, foreshadowing what we're about to go through a bit later on, this is probably the one premium live event for me where they get a bit of a get out of jail free card in terms of titles. They don't need to have a title change on this particular event. Oh, Paul's shaking his head. Let's see where that goes. Right, next on the list then, another tag team match, but this time it's not just the women. It's a mixed tag team match. The aforementioned Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, versus Liv Morgan and Dirty Dom Mysterio. So Dom, as we mentioned, Dom stunned the world when he helped Liv retain her title against Mami at SummerSlam. Then rubbing further salt into that particular wound with a very, very kissy celebration just afterwards. Of course, as we mentioned as well, later that night, Balor upped the ante by causing Priest to lose the World Heavyweight Championship to Gunther, although you will be relieved to hear there was no kissing that time around. With the two formerly most prominent members of the Judgment Day now ousted from the group, they're clearly going to be looking for some payback when they line up against Liv and Dom. But is that measure of revenge going to happen a little too early, or will Dom and Liv continue to upset the apple cart, as it were? I went last time, so I'll go first this time. I've gone for Liv and Dom. I think we're in for a whole streak of shithousing just yet. Andy is agreeing, so I'll pop him in as well whilst we're on. In full agreement there, Mr. Cook?
Positively. It's way too soon. You've got the Finn Balor element to sort of consider, and yeah, this is not a one shot. This is going to go on for a while. So keep it the way it is for now. Get that, and then draw it out.
I wondered if at one point they were going to have this as the almost like the build to like a War Games match, and there'd be like a Judgment Day team and then Terror Twins and three others. But I don't know. I can't work out who would be on their team at the moment. If they're going to pull some first time ever nonsense and just have it as like a bigger team versus a smaller team. We're a bit ahead of schedule there, but that's kind of, and ultimately they've got a full house on their hands with War Games if they just do Bloodline stuff as well. So they have got that too. But maybe Judgment Day are the sneaky backup to that. Paul?
Yeah, agreed. I think whilst the sort of they've got the warring sort of the factions, as it were, still going, I don't think it makes sense to have Priest and Ripley get one up on them this early in the sort of the feud, if that makes sense. Plus, someone actually, there was a podcast I was listening to the other day that actually raised something that's quite good, where it said it's a shame that WWE doesn't do like an intergender division, because Rhea and Priest together as a unit look spectacular. Like they would take down quite a lot of teams, to be honest with you, which is a shame. But plus, I think it's more likely that we'll get some interference from the other members of the Judgment Day to cost Priest and Ripley the match.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So what you were saying then is they need to bring back the mixed match challenge pronto.
Well, I mean, no, as I believe I watched precisely 0 seconds of that concept, so didn't really. Well, no, because they still do mixed tag teams. I'm talking about like fully intergender, where Rhea could be in the ring against a man, for example.
Yeah, they've never quite got to broaching that, have they, just yet? In an official match capacity.
They tried it a little bit in the Attitude Era with like China and stuff, but apart from that, it never really sort of took off. So.
No. Okay, well, Matt has gone the same way. So clean sweep for that one. Everybody thinks Liv and Dom are going to win, so we can all be equally as annoyed when they don't. So yeah, clean sweep for that one. Right. Now I have to be careful and make sure I get the title of this next one correct. We have got CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, the rematch without any special guest referee shenanigans, but this time in a strap match. So the saga continues, and there's absolutely no escape because they'll be tied together this time, free to use the strap as a weapon against their opponent. If you're not quite up to speed on this, where are we up to, you might ask? Well, Drew injures Punk in the Rumble. Punk cost Drew the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania and then robbed him of the #1 contendership the following night on Raw. McIntyre then, for want of a better expression, beat the absolute bejesus out of Punk in his hometown and took his fan-made bracelet from him, which referenced his wife, AJ Lee, and his dog, Larry. Drew won Money in the Bank. Punk spoiled the cash-in, and then they finally had a match at SummerSlam to get a definitive answer. Except for that match didn't finish without controversy because Seth Rollins was a special guest referee and completely stuffed the ending, really, from a CM Punk point of view, anyway. In the build-up to this one, they've still been going at each other, and Punk decided it was a cracking idea to whip Drew with his belt on the August 12th edition of Raw, and that set up the strap match this weekend. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the rules of a strap match, it's not just a no disqualification match where they have to just slap each other. They have to stay attached to the strap at all times, but then touch all four corners of the ring consecutively without interruption. This is a stipulation that is very rarely used. And realistically, I know it's been done since, but the only one of note really was probably the Eddie Guerrero JBL version, which I think was Great American Bash early 2000s, maybe like mid 2000s.
So that was technically a Texas bull rope match as opposed to a strap match.
Well, that's how memorable they are then, put it that way. So it's a really strange stipulation. Again, because there's like little bits of ins and outs within the rules, I feel like there is the opportunity for some more shenanigans. Seth Rollins, by the way, conveniently out of action at the moment, thanks to Big Bronson Reed. So he's having a nice little layoff. In fairness, it doesn't look like he's going to turn up and cause any more havoc, but stranger things have happened. AJ Styles flew all the way to Australia just to knock LA Knight out of the Elimination Chamber, so you never know. But yeah, who's getting a whipping this weekend is the question. So the first time around, that'll lead us to Andy this time around. So who have you got, Punk or McIntyre?
I got CM Punk winning this one. I think again, little bit of symmetry, a little bit of it lost not fairly. So a win this time sort of rectifies that. Also, one win for one win for another. It keeps that going. Like you went through that sort of almost like saga-like sort of breakdown. This will just be another footnote in that saga where it goes back the other way. This isn't the end of it. It's just Punk wins this one and we move on.
Within the kind of tit for tat that they've had though, since Punk's been back, has he won a match yet?
Has he had any matches on but not previously?
No, well, true, but he was down for winning the Rumble. Didn't happen, obviously, in a big way. He was then effectively re-debuting against Drew last time around. Didn't win that either. So, like, not only, as Andy pointed out, is it the kind of the 50-50 booking element going back and forth, but he hasn't won yet. I feel like he probably needs that at the moment, just to keep a bit of steam going with the story. So, like in that regard, I'm in full agreement with Andy. So I might as well jump in there. Yeah, I have gone for Punk as well. Paul?
Yeah, fully agree. I think it's one of those ones where it's been rumoured that they're already scheduled to be doing the Hell in a Cell blow-off at Bad Blood in October. So obviously this would count as your second of your trio of matches, so to speak. And it doesn't really make any sense to have a third match if Drew's already beaten him twice. To me, that wouldn't make sense. So Drew gets the first one, dubious circumstances. Punk gets the second one, probably in dubious circumstances, the ref misses that Drew hits the fourth pad if that's what they're going to do with the sort of the turnbuckle pads and stuff like that. And then Punk obviously like gets him with a roll up or something like that to get a quick 3 count or something like that. I imagine like it won't be a straightforward pin or.
Oh no, well it can't because it has to be the corners, doesn't it? So it'll be like
have they actually, because I've not seen Raw or anything in the last couple of weeks. I don't know. Have they definitely said that's the only way it can be won?
Cole went through the stipulations on commentary this past week on Raw, whilst Drew was. Can't remember if it was when he was on his way to the ring or if it was within the 3 stages of him actually trying to cross his legs to sit down in the middle of the ring. Yeah, so they definitely have. Like it'll to me, it'll end up being that like he gets somehow like the thing gets tied, like there's like it gets tied and he can't. Do you know what I mean? Like where if it goes like, or around a rope or something, and he uses it as a bit of a pulley to.
Yeah, or like you said, they could do the JBL Eddie finish where sort of where Drew tries to sort of go over the top of Punk to get the last turnbuckle, but because he pushes Punk into it first, technically Punk is classed as touching it first and gets the win that way. Because obviously, I think we covered in the last podcast that there was going to be elements of the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker finish from SummerSlam 97 in the SummerSlam match between Punk Drew with Seth as the special referee. And I thought it was quite good that Punk came out in pink boots for that. So obviously he obviously reads the internet and stuff like that. So he obviously knew that people realised that's what they were going for, and obviously gave them what they wanted, which I thought was quite cool. But yeah, I think, just like we said, I think they'll get creative with a way that they'll give Punk the win to set them up for the blow off being Hell in a Cell at Bamble.
Well, we all think it's going to be Punk. Matt does not agree. Matt has gone for Drew. There's always one. Well, you say that until we're totting the points up for next time. So yeah, Matt happily sat there on Points Island with his Drew prediction. So we shall see how that fares for him. So 2 more matches to go. And this is the title match I was alluding to slightly earlier with the get out of jail free card comment. And it's the World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther, defending as champion, against Randy Orton. Now, Gunther defeated Orton in controversial fashion to become King of the Ring earlier this year, so a rematch was always on the cards at some point. It just turns out that the rematch will be for the newly won title. It's going to be a bit of an odd way to get to it, being as that Orton is on SmackDown as well and that Gunther is on Raw. But Orton shocked the WWE Universe by jumping from SmackDown to Raw to announce that Adam Pearce had granted him a title match. The winner of the match will be on Raw, and the loser will return to SmackDown empty-handed. Now, read into this if you like. On the WWE website, it says that the winner will stay on Raw, and the loser will return to SmackDown. Have they just, by the mere phrasing of it, being as that Gunther's on Raw and Randy Orton's on SmackDown, just given the results away? So, I mean, just by the booking of it, guys, you've probably given the result away, let's be honest. But yeah, it's kind of simple booking in a story sense, but odd given the location. Yeah, it's odd. I mean, surely that Gunther will have the crowd behind him in Germany, but then where does that?
Well, to sort of give him a bit of credit, could they argue that obviously Orton is a contracted SmackDown wrestler, so if Gunther does lose, would he not just take the space of Orton in the fact that Orton then would move to Raw because of the championship? So Gunther would have to take his place. I don't know. I'm probably clutching at sort of like straws there. I mean, it's all meaningless anyway because Gunther's obviously going to win. So
absolutely. And this is the thing. So this is what we're going to say. So that like he's going to like Gunther for me is going to be a huge fan favorite in Germany. Obviously, technically not German, but he's as near as he's ever going to be to being on home soil in Berlin.
It's such like an easy, like, not cop out as such, but such an easy sort of like way for him to get heat in it. It's like, oh yes, you all cheer me, but I wouldn't be German if you paid me.
I still think he'll get it, but then I think it'll be more strange for Orton because since he's come back, he's been used to having the big babyface reaction, like the crowd.
I think he still gets it anyway. I think this will be treated almost like a babyface match.
But that's just that to me is such a weird dynamic. And just whilst we're there, hold that thought for the next one. But yeah, speaking of where will that leave them as babyfaces? Will it be Raw? Will it be SmackDown for the Viper following the result of the match? Now, Mr. Moore has gone for Gunther. I am under no illusion that every single person on this podcast, including those not present currently, are picking the same result this time, right? Yeah. I have a feeling that may happen in a matter of moments for the final match on the card. Right, we're all in the book for Gunther. So, the last match on the card this time around is the undisputed WWE title match between Cody Rhodes, going in as champion, defending against Kevin Owens. As I was mentioning, another instance of odd booking for me here, because we've got another two, possibly more conventional this time, however, fan favourites facing off for the other top title WWE has to offer. Cody Rhodes defending against his friend and ally, Kevin Owens. For all of his efforts in assisting Cody over the last 4 years or so against the Bloodline, Kevin Owens was offered a match by the reigning champion, which he turned down. Very odd, again, for me. If you are in a business, fake or not fake, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, and somebody says, do you want a chance to be the top guy in the business? You go, hi, no, you're all right, mate, it's fine. What else are you there for? It makes Kevin Owens just look like an absolute dick to me. Like, I just don't understand that at all. However, Cody has been a fighting champion since he picked it up after defeating Solo Sikoa, AJ Styles, and Logan Paul. Will Kevin Owens be added to that list, or does Cody's story end with his friend? I would suggest this is going to possibly be another one up there on the rankings of fastest predictions ever, and everybody's going to go for the current reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. Paul's wiggling his eyebrows. It is either playing us and going to pick Cody, or he's going to pick the other one, or he's just having some sort of small seizure live on the podcast. I'm not sure.
I don't think there'll be a title change.
Oh, okay.
And I do think, I'm just trying to think, like, what's the way they can get out of this in a way that furthers the story? Because obviously there's a possibility that you can have Cody beaten clean, Owens snaps, attacks him after the match is finished, etc., and like you sort of like spin it off from there. But is there also a possibility that Owens wins the match by, say, count out, and then he then sort of goes and is like, well, technically I did beat you, so why don't we do it again? Then they have the second rematch. Then he does the sort of like, Cody does beat him definitively, and that's when he sort of like attacked him after the match, blah, 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 and you can sort of spin it off into more of a, then you could in theory take that to Hell in a Cell, Bad Blood, if you wanted to do it that way, and stuff like that, because at that point Cody would be pissed off that he's like, you know, have this nice sort of goodwill gesture taken and just like thrown back in his face by him attacking him, etc., etc. So I've done that thing again where I've basically booked them 3 months worth of storyline when they're obviously just going to turn around and just go, oh no, Cody's going to beat him. Nothing's going to happen off the back of this. And he's then just going to go and wrestle Umberto Carrillo or something on the next show or something like that.
Okay, so the question remains at the end of that. Which one are you going for, Paul?
Yeah, I haven't really helped with that. But stick me down for Kevin Owens to win, but not the belt. So I'll have him to win by count.
Okay. Andy? Dare I even ask after Paul's...
Paul's just trying to be... He loves a tricky finish with Paul, whereas I like him clean and down the line. Just Cody in it.
Yeah.
It in a lot of ways, it feels like that belt is destined to just sit in the same place for a very long time. No matter who holds it, it's just going to sit there for a long time until a big change. So I imagine we could put it on a calendar and see if we're still predicting this in a year's time. I almost see that like in a year we'll still be like, no, whoever the opponent is couldn't possibly win because it's not time for them to win yet. That sort of thing. So
that's one thing that I'm hoping that the Netflix deal sorts out. Like, I don't want it to, don't get me wrong, I don't want to upset Paul by mentioning the words hot potato. But like back in the day, like you used to get a random title change on a Monday Night Raw, or it'd be like a guy might hold it for a fortnight or a month, and it wasn't ever seen as a problem. Like Kane wouldn't even be referenced as WWE champion by like modern standards, on the sense of he had it for 24 hours, if that. So it's a bizarre one, but no, I agree with what you're saying. But I think that the reason for it is because all of their effort went into the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes. Their hand was forced by the fact they couldn't do the Rock Roman at WrestleMania. Now we're in that kind of hangover period of, well, they've got what they wanted. Cody's the champion. Now what? And this far removed from WrestleMania, it doesn't really feel like they've got that sussed out yet. And it's just treading water with people who haven't been near the top of the card for a little while. Now, I'm not saying that Kevin Owens doesn't deserve it, because he absolutely does, in my opinion. But I also think that SmackDown is loaded with bad guys at the moment, and I can't see him turning. I have a vision of that there's going to be some sort of almost invasion, if you like, by members of the new Bloodline, which will stuff the match up, and it'll end up being that they'll end up fighting them out of the ring together, and the match gets called off, but they're still friends at the end of it. Is kind of my view of what will happen. But therefore they will attack Cody, so he will win, even if it's by disqualification, is what I've got. So that rounds it out. That's everybody. Matt's gone Cody, I've gone Cody, Andy's gone Cody, Paul's clearly had a bang to the head. He's got Kevin Owens. So yeah, there we are. We have some differences at least. I don't think there are two. Looking at it, there are no two lines that run the same. So as long as the ups and downs don't balance themselves out, you watch. We'll all finish on 3 points next time around. Is what will. Cool. But yeah, has anybody got any other business now that the predictions are finished? Then that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. That is everything for another episode of Getting Over. Episode 67, no less. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and listening along. Appreciate your time. If you've not already, go hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. All of that would be massively appreciated. And if you do that, you'll know when we are back next time around. So thanks very much, and we'll see you then.
So there you go, what do you think of that? Another one done. Another one gone. Another premium live event in the bag. And more to come. Big thank you for being here. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There you can find our social media links and an email button. And that way you can get in touch with us. Send us your predictions. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye. And I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.